says preparing live stream.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Please, hey guys, please forgive me. I'm so sorry. I had a little technical issues. I'm sorry I'm late.
No worries. We're just about to go live right now.
We are live right now.
late.
Yep, we just
We're
started.
live right now. How's that? You came in at the right time.
You go.
Welcome everyone to the Cranker's Pit. It's Tuesday, September 2nd. Unfortunately, we were scheduled to have 107 this evening, and Juan had texted me this earlier today, and he had a sudden call, very similar to General Valley, and he had to catch a flight to DC. So we've been corresponding back and forth throughout the day, and we are rescheduled for next Tuesday, the 9th of September. But with all that being said, we have the one and only Mr. Rob Cunningham with us, and we got Mike Likens and Dylan Lewis Monroe, the map maker, and then our queen from Brazil, Anna Marins. So tonight we're going to talk about a number of topics. One of them is going to be XRP, and I know that Rob's going to have plenty to say about that because there's lots of things that have been going on with XRP in the last week and a half. And then we'll also cover some other issues, or not issues, but items that have been happening here. And today there's a lot of things that are happening. With that, Dylan, we've got a new kind of promo for your maps there. Why don't we show the people what you have to offer, and then we'll get into our show. How's that sound?
Indeed, yeah. My website is DSMP.io, and we have this brand new. We just made this promo for the Juan video, but we'll debut it without Juan anyway. So check this out and let me know what you think about it. Here we go. Ready?
Truth seekers, are you ready to uncover the secrets they don't want you to know? At DSMP.io, we're not just a store. We're a portal to the unknown. Prints and posters that unveil hidden truths, from ancient mysteries to modern cover-ups. Fill your space with tapestries woven with cosmic secrets. Tap into the energy of hand-selected crystals to awaken your mind. Explore exclusive packets packed with forbidden knowledge. Cleanse your body and spirit with products designed to strip away the toxins of a corrupted world. In the chaos of today, we give you the tools to stay sharp and to stay awakened. This is more than shopping. This is a movement. Step through the portal. Discover the truth. DSMP.io. Truth disguised as art.
Very impressive, Dylan. Very
There you
impressive.
go.
Yeah, excellent.
DSMP.io. We got a little help from AI on that one, but yeah, it turned out pretty well. So we're going to continue refining it. It's our first actually spoken word promo, so it's a pretty big deal for us here.
Excellent.
We'll be on the
Congratulations.
Super Bowl commercials next.
Right.
Excellent.
Good job, Dylan.
Yeah.
But hasn't art always been like this? Hidden truth? You are the new Da Vinci, maybe the new Michelangelo.
You know what? One of my highest goals in life at this point is to get the DSMP diagrams into the Smithsonian, and so we're working on our way up there, hopefully.
Yes, I will see you there. I'm sure we will.
Excellent. Excellent. So let's start the show off. President Trump, or Commander-in-Chief Trump, a couple days ago put a post out with that he's Q+, and some of this artwork is coming from Spiritual Fighter, who's on X, and it was her artwork, and he used her artwork, and congratulations to her. But I want to talk about you know, the revelations that are coming out about Q. You know, you have General Flynn, who came out today on X and talked about conspiracy theorists, and that conspiracy theorist was started by the CIA, and it was to debunk the truth. It was always to steer the truth away from all their false flags, all their bullshit. So all this stuff is, the drip is now becoming a stream. So I just wanted to go around the table here and talk about this, because I feel that the storm is upon us. The eye of the storm is coming in, and people are starting to go, wow, wow. So let's start, ladies first. Anna, you want to make a comment about this?
Well, my comment may take a little longer, guys, but I hope you bear with me, okay? Because we are in a imagine something. We are in a time capsule, okay? And we are now heading back 203 years. In this same date, a lady, an Austrian lady who was in Brazil, very much away from her born and raised family, her country, which she loved tremendously. She was here in Brazil doing what makes possible the plan for us right now in this moment, and we are witnessing her work. Okay, this lady is named. She has a very long name, as many royals do, and but you can short it as Maria Leopoldina in Portuguese. Okay, and she's the mother of Brazil. She's not known as the mother of Brazil, but she is the mother of Brazil, because in September the 2nd, 1822, this very young but extremely wise woman, a mother, a princess, a wife, she signed, she herself, with all the 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 support from her husband, her not very loyal husband. She had all the power to sign the first bill, okay, that made Brazil independent. And this year we will celebrate the next 7th, September 7th, 203 years. And it is important to notice that this day, today, September the 2nd, it is the same date that a major person, a major character in this movie that we are watching and participating in, he is starting to have his trial live, with lots of comments from General Flynn, lots of comments from President Trump, our commander in chief. And I want to make this statement because I have the pictures. I don't know if we can show it to the people, but if not, I will share, and it will be on my channel. I want to share that you always need someone from the outside, as President Trump said. We always need someone from the outside, an outsider, to bring a new breath of fresh air. Okay, and she was this person. She was extremely knowledgeable about Brazil. She was under pressure from the persons, the institutions that President Kennedy mentioned in 1963 and 203 years ago. So if we are asking, oh my God, it's taking too long, I can imagine this young woman, how brave she was, how loyal to her family, herself, her born family, and especially to protect her children. She signed this bill and she made Brazil an independent country. We know that we are not independent. We are not, we are slaves. We are all slaves. But that move, it's it's the point that makes Brazil so much connected to United States at this moment. That's my view, okay? That's my research. That's how I feel it. We have in Brazil, here in Rio, a, a beautiful building in her honor, It's a train station that it's going to be open to the public, totally new this upcoming year, 2026, for the 250th anniversary of the independence of the United States. So when we say it's taking too long, it's not taking too long. It's taking the necessary time, and it's when I read her bravery, when I read about her, and I imagined me in her position, and we are all doing this. We are all protecting our families. We are all trying to manage the best we can with what we have, and it's not being easy at all. And even well, we believe that fairy tales exist, and they do exist, but princesses, l- it's not easy being a princess. It's a cage, and she was in a cage. And I don't know, I just want to honor her in this September 2nd for everything that she's making my life possible and to Brazilians. And that's why I want to make this, I don't know, emotional, very, very girly comments on her. Thank you,
Excellent.
Cranker.
Yeah, that's the divine of the feminine right there in the
Yeah.
spiritual war. So Dylan, you wanna jump in on what the spilling out about Q and conspiracy theorists and everything
Yeah,
that we're
I have a few screen shares just to give people a visual on this. That actually, this picture I'm showing right now is one that I saved in 2024, August 29th. And so since Trump just reposted this, I need to double check what day he reposted it this week, but it's practically exactly 1 year to the date of when he posted it the first time, which I find that a little bit crazy. That relates to the Q clock, of course. We're always looking at these 1 year deltas. So, of course, it's once again, Trump posting a Q plus, like connecting himself with the Q posts and specifically the ones that were Q plus, and, it's having two different Q isms on this post as well. But the craziest part about this is that Gavin Newsom reposted a similar meme. His press account, it's not his main account, but it's like press office of Gavin Newsom on X, reposted this. And it's just like, what's crazy about it is that, from a normie perspective, it's like, I guess he's just trying to troll Trump, but from a QAnon perspective, it makes it seem like the White Hats have actually taken over Gavin Newsom's account. And maybe even Gavin Newsom himself. I mean, this is some of the most far out conspiracies of talking about replacements and maskers and Joe Biden being the most obvious example, but like, where does it end? Have we really replaced all these governors? But the fact that his press office is posting this it's definitely telling me that we're looking at one team here controlling both sides of this equation. Personally, I believe that this is the White Hats that are coming to change the world. From a black pill perspective, you could say, well, yeah, it's the cabal, it's the Illuminati, they're all in on this. You've seen a lot of things where mainstream media and deep state are putting out 17s and, 17s connected to the mass shooting and such. But I see this as positive that the White Hats have gained full control over both sides of this narrative, and that some of the last remaining remnants of the deep state are being swept up, but the big figures have been taken out. And sort of jumping to a little bit beyond this subject, but one of the other main things I wanted to share in this video was this tweet from Trump, which I found also very promising, talking about George Soros and his son should be charged with RICO, which is exactly what everyone in this movement has been talking about, with more and more clarity over the past 8 years, is specifically RICO-style charges coming against these deep state actors on both the Republican and the Democrat side. But I think, seeing it against George Soros, the one who funded all those BLM protests that destroyed so many cities in 2020, would be one of the biggest steps in this whole operation of really taking down the brown shirts of the left, and the deep state would be huge. And so I'll leave it at that for now. And if anyone else wants to continue commenting on the implications of that Rico tweet about George Soros connected with the Q plus, it's like, I think we have so much evidence coming in that we as the Anons have been on the right side of history and looking at and analyzing current events this whole time.
excellent, Dylan. Excellent. Mike, Rob, who wants to go?
Well, I just wanted to say real quick because Rob's more well spoken than I am, so I wanted to just kind of touch on what Dylan just said. You know, so much has, and we said this before the show, so much that we've consumed over the past 5 years, the past 5 minutes, um, is going so fast, so consuming. Obviously the fire hose analogy. Um, I, you know, I looked, I was thinking about with the Giuliani thing, but what it does is it just trains your brain to think, because I never would have thought anything about the Giuliani accident that happened yesterday or day before yesterday. And I'm thinking, and I was talking to my son earlier on Sunday, and I said, "There's something to this. There's something. I don't know what it is. It smells of something. I never would have thought that before, but it's that example, and you take that times every single thing that we're doing in this movement. And I think when they talk about the overarching, signal of the awakening, that is that spirit of awakening. We have this spirit of awakening, and we have that sense where everybody's like, I don't know about that. I don't think that's right. I don't think this is right. That's what it's going to take as we do this, because we're not. General Flynn said this back in 2021. I was pretty upset when he said this, because he said, "Look, guys, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody. We have to do it on our own. We have to save ourselves. We, the people, have to save ourselves." And I feel that over this past 5 years, we are building the muscle. We've been working out, and we've been in the gym, you know, uh, and we're ready. We're ready to take this task on. We weren't ready in 2020. We weren't ready in 2021. We weren't ready in 2023. We're ready now. And I think we're ready not to burn buildings down, but we're ready to more than anything heal. And I think that's the biggest lesson that we all have to take from everything that we've done, is we have to heal, because in that healing, we've got family members that are left. And we got family members that are right. We want to make sure that we love. And that truly is what the calling is to that. And I think that's my opening statement to say that, Cranker. I just feel that that's overarchingly, that's my heart. That's how I feel. And to get specific on, something, we can talk later on in the show about anything specifically, but that's my heart right now.
That's perfect, Mike. It really is. We got to unbind what we've been bound on. And Rob's talked about this multiple times on his channel. Rob, why don't you jump in here and carry on?
Well, Cranker, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Everybody, Mike, it's good to see you. Anna, everybody, it's honor to be with you guys. Dylan, great work, brother. I mean, art, what a form of communication. It's just so, the tapestry of art speaks to at so many different dimensions. It's really cool. And it's in the eye of the beholder as well. But, to piggyback off of what Flynn had said, look, Jesus didn't come to save us. He didn't come to rescue us. He didn't bring a super Noah's Ark and a fleet of 747s and put everybody on it to take us off this planet, right? What he did was he came to awaken us, to teach us, to empower us, and to equip us to live in this world, but not by its rules, not of its rules. He didn't come to take us away or cart us off to a better land somewhere. He came to teach us who we are and whose we are so that we can reign as kings and queens with sovereignty on this earth. We were put here as sovereign kings and queens. We lost our identity. We lost our pride, ego, leaning on our own understanding, not understanding what the forces of evil can and will do to divide, deceive, devour, destroy. And we are destroyed by our lack of knowledge, which is ignorance. But once you realize the mathematical formula that omnipotence equals omni equals all, or 100%, and potent equals power. God has 100% of the power, and he made us in his image and his likeness. The only reason we fail is we're ignorant and scared. We were told, my people are destroyed by their lack of knowledge, and fear not, 365 times. The key is we have to know who we are. We have to know what these immutable, indestructible, timeless, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent aspects of the Creator God are. When we separate ourselves from the timeless, omnipotent, the quantum essence of God, we're walking around leaning on our own understanding. And hell is a place God's not. So if we chase the shiny objects, chase the money, worship the status, chase the gold, the girls, the glory, the money, the fame, the likes, the clicks, you name it, we attach ourselves and our hopes and our dreams and our mission and our purpose to something other than, service to other and love and omnipotence and oneness, we get our asses kicked. And 2,000 years ago, we had somebody to come to try to teach us these lessons, right? 2,000 years, the year 2000, we had the big Y2K scare. 9 years later, we had the big great financial crisis where this financial model flatlined. So here we are 15, 16 years later, after the death of the most recent financial cartel system, and we haven't woken the entire world up yet from the time the system, their Babylonian system, actually died, and they inserted the Muslim from Hawaii to finish the job. And then Trump showed up. He wasn't supposed to win. So he's had, 9 years to try to wake us up. And after 150 years of financial debt slavery, Mike, your analogy is perfectly correct. We've been in the gym. We've been working out. We've been building our spiritual muscle. We've been building our soul muscle in order to remember. It's a great awakening. It's a great remembrance. And the Q drops, the communities, the webinars, the research, the understanding, the detoxing ourselves from our biggest problem is our pride won't let us detox ourselves from the lies we've been told since the doctor slapped us on the butt. And 95% of what we think we know is just absolute flat ass wrong. Or it's 98% right and 2% wrong, which means it's wrong. The conclusions and the ideas and the ideologies and the isms, radicalism, democratism, Marxism, socialism, communism, fill in your ism. They're all man-made constructs of a governance system that's created by something other than the governance system we were given in the law book. And they're broken because they got to re-elect somebody every 4 years to tweak them again. Right? So why don't we get back to the kingdom citizenship with a kingdom constitution and reign as kings and queens in the way the law book tells us we ought to, and we'll get ourselves out of this hot mess. But the problem is religion is a counterfeit version of genuine faith. It's a counterfeit vision that's designed for control, of the mind and the heart and the soul is to put an intermediary in between us and God. And then we have to go through the central seminary instead of the central bank, with all of its friction and all of its rules and all of its hierarchy and all of its politics and all of its 501c3 tax benefits and speech codes and standardization and regulation and monitoring and all the stuff that goes on in central seminary land is very analogous to central banking land. It's all about control, standardization, regulation, political correctness. Do it my way or you're a competitor. You know, there's not one truth. There's 47,000 denominationality truths. No, there's not. There's one truth. There's one. You know, and divided, we fall. United, we stand. So it's amazing time to be alive.
Very well said, as usual. I'm going to use this, Rob. Stuart Scott, you know, who was on ESPN. He always says something when someone made a great play, he says that's as cool as the other side of the pillow. And that's how you bring it. You're as cool as the other side of the pillow. So I just wanted to say that. No, it's all true what everyone's saying here, and I can't add any more to it other than what's been said. The amount of information that's coming out now, especially over the weekend and now today, there's just more and more truth. And with the general, if you're not on X, I strongly suggest that you get on X, because the generals are on there. And General Flynn is just throwing troop bomb after troop bomb. And the general, which is General McInerney, he's putting truth out there. There's so much coming out, and it's like there's shiny objects everywhere. And many of us, well, I know this whole panel, we've been, you know, doing our work. We've been doing a lot of research, and there's many, many others that are out there. Their spiritual journey was all about finding the truth. And if you go to 107, and we'll have him on next Tuesday, he had to reschedule, like I mentioned earlier, if you're coming in late. In his book, The Kid by the Side of the Road, if you have that book, The Kid by the Side of the Road, thank you, Anna, and you go to page 26 and 27, it tells you, Juan tells you that we all went through the Q University. And the Q University is all about us learning the truth and becoming leaders. Because it's we the people that run our countries, not just America, all around the whole world. It's we the people. We're sovereign. We're sovereign souls. And they tried taking our power away. It ain't happening anymore. Okay? And the biggest thing that General Flynn is pushing right now, thank you, Anna. The biggest thing that General Flynn's pushing right now is get involved in your local communities, get involved with your school boards, get involved in your county and your city boards, and start taking charge. Hold these people accountable. Hold them accountable. We've given our power away to these people. I'm going to give an example. I'll get on my soapbox a little bit here. In the housing market crisis, just to show you how fraudulent everything is. When they were appraising homes, the appraisers were in bed with the bankers, and the bankers were involved with the mortgage vendors, and they were telling everyone to remortgage your home. Oh, you got so much equity in your home. Well, they were appraising homes for way more than what they were worth. And then they were lending people this money, the fake money, the monopoly money. You know, go past goal and you get $200. They inflated all these homes so much that people took the money, the fake money, the fiat money, and they went out and spent it. And now they're deeper in debt. And then the banks were able to foreclose on everyone. It was a setup. It was a total setup. And it was done by the appraisers. It was done by the mortgage lenders. It was done by the banks. And it was all set up. And then they went and foreclosed on all these people.
Qranker, what's worse, brother, it was done by the rating agencies as well.
Yes.
Who allowed them to create these collateralized mortgage obligations, sell them in hedge funds, and leverage those crappy financial products on the world stage. And then when those financial products blew up, the blow up effect was international. Teachers' funds in Sweden, it didn't matter. When those collateralized mortgage instruments blew up because they were built on crappy, junk, no income ninja loans, no income, no asset loans, that waitresses in Vegas had 3 or 4 properties. All they had to do was fog a glass and give a signature, and they got a mortgage. They had no business having $3 million or $4 million worth of mortgages as a cocktail waitress, but it was an intentional pump with a pre-calculated dump.
Correct. Yes. And no one would know more about it than you. But I just wanted to bring that to the light, because this is what the Federal Reserve has done. They've controlled all of humanity with all these tactics. And then they controlled every aspect of our life. They controlled our education system. They controlled our medical system. They control our courts. They control all the lawyers, all of them. They're all in bed. And where I'm going with
our military.
yes, our military. That's a good point. But where I'm going with this is that Donald J. Trump now just federalized, in Washington, D.C. Why did he do that? He did that because the court systems were all corrupt. Now they're all going through military courts because the good old boy system isn't going to work anymore. And the same thing's going to happen in Chicago. The same thing's going to happen all over this country because they had everyone's back and people got off. And I know personally, because I was involved, I used to belong to the St. Paul Men's Club in St. Paul, Minnesota. There's more deals that were done on Wednesday afternoons at that luncheon, and it opened my eyes big time. And I played golf with these guys. There was more deals done, more lawyers putting deals together on golf courses than they do in a courtroom. It's all the good old boy system. It's the secret societies. And this shit is going to come to an end. And they're going to be held accountable. Everything's been on the quantum financial system. Everything's been running behind the scenes, and people don't know this. Everything's been recorded. They have everything. Robert David Steele said this. We have everything. And when they come knocking on these people's doors, it's going to be a big surprise. They think this is about street crime. Yeah, it's about street crime, but it's about all the other crimes that are going on.
They have everything. McAfee and Robert David
Steele.
Robert David Steele. Whether they're still alive or not, I don't know. But I believe that they know, and they had the wherewithal, 10 years ago to know the real truth that was going on. They seen it. They recorded it. They have everything. And that's exciting to know. That's the anticipatory front side to what we're living through right now. But I think that, a lot of what Rob had said earlier, it's very exciting, and to a degree of some people could think it's, from a financial standpoint. But I've just been humbled over the past, I'd say 90 days over the spiritual side of it, because it all comes back to what we've been taught, what we know. And we're talking about the financial system. We're talking about Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. And I think right now they're dealing with the judicial system right now, and it's being exposed. But what's not really being exposed is the spiritual side, the churches. And I think Rob and I had a conversation, and he is so well spoken on this. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, Rob, with this, but you gave such a great insight to that, because, you want to tackle, going into a family conversation. The last thing in the world you want to talk about is this topic. I can't even say it. You know what I mean? But the denomination religious side of this is very, very, it's taboo. But it's going to expose a lot of things. And I think we have to humble ourselves and know what's coming. And we got to know that that's one aspect from a personal standpoint we all have to recognize and not be defeated by it.
Yeah, the one thing they always told us, don't talk to your friends or family about politics and religion. What's the two most corrupt, fraudulent things in the world? Religion and
Finance
politics.
and religion.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
The
You guys,
greatest ability to mute and censor is a system that trains us to mute and censor ourselves. And then indoctrinate us into falsehoods that we repeat, lies that we tell ourselves, or incorrect information. We separate ourselves from oneness. We think that God's off in the far by and by up in the clouds somewhere on the other side after we die and leave here. We might get a ticket to paradise, but while you're here, do as you're told, good little boys and girls. Or go to the middleman, get the broker, burn the candles, ring the bells, rub the beads, hand out the blankets. If you've got a deep question, go to your seminary trained, regulated, licensed, and approved preacher. And that's Jesus spoke against the Pharisees. He spoke against the system. He spoke to the outcast. He spoke to the lepers. He spoke to the people that were rejected by the quote unquote system, the Illuminati, the betters, the elders, whatever, the church rule followers. And denomination to 47,000, 175,000, you name it. How many ways can we divide ourselves as people on this earth? How much division is too much? Is there one truth, or is there 147,000 versions of truth? When we were told to tithe, did he mean give 10% of your life to a 501c3 business entity that's in bed with the government? Probably not. He probably meant give to the community, the body, the family, the local environment, those that you work and live with, those in your neighborhood, those that need maybe the body of believers, but not to the corporate institution that does standardized religion and gets in bed with the government and does, all the warping of the mind and the political correctness inside of religiosity it strangles us as a people. Because not only can you not live up to their subset of rules, the hypocrisy smells so bad, it makes the average person want to have nothing to do with religion because it bears no real genuine fruit, because it's not faith, it's a counterfeit version of faith. Faith is supposed to be one-to-one, a DLT, instantaneous 24/7, 365, immediate access to the one true God, our Father Creator. All that junk and friction in the middle is the central banking friction that DLT is getting rid of with the whole new financial system. We're supposed to be able to transfer wealth and value and give and help people anywhere in the world, anytime we want, freely. Any two people that want to consent or contract with one another ought to be able to be free, sovereign individuals to consent and contract with one another. How do you get rid of the junk in the middle in the religious world as we're getting rid of the junk in the financial world? What is that bridge token from man to God? What is that middle way? Just like there's a bridge token, I love to, I tell my wife this all the time. Sometimes I feel like, in a spiritual sense, in this analogy that I'm trying to explain, XRP gets rid of all of that FUD, all of that crap, all that noise, all that darkness, all that friction and theft and deception and diverted energy, all of that wealth extraction that the central banking system is there to do. And it gets rid of all of that. if that was the church analogy and it got rid of all the friction and the hypocrisy and the conflicts of interest and all the crap and all the religiosity, XRP would stand for Christ released prosperity. Think about our having one-to-one direct access to reign as kings and queens over a sovereign world under a kingdom constitution with a kingdom creator, and we were sovereign citizens and we could rule ourselves, then we wouldn't need a big central government, a big central bank, or a big central church. So the model of DLT and XRP and one-to-one direct lines of communication or transfer of value, if it works in the banking system, it's 10,000 times more important for that to work in the faith system. We've got to get back to learn how to have that 24/7, 365 God walk, that love walk with God each and every day of our lives. If it's good enough for money, it's damn sure good enough for the spiritual walk that we all ought to be on.
You know, Rob, I want to follow up on what you just said in your hat that you have with the X. If you look up, what does the symbol X symbolize in the Bible? In Christianity, X symbolizes Christ because it's the first letter of Christ of the Greek word Christ. So you got XRP, you got XLM, you got XDC. There are no coincidences, and it's mathematically
And you have an
impossible.
XRP ledger.
Exactly.
It is the one record of truth, the ledger of truth. How do you level a playing field? If you get 209 national leaders to say, you know what? I'm not going to trust Anna. I'm not going to trust Qranker. I'm not going to trust Trump. I'm not going to trust Putin, but I will trust the math. If mathematically, indisputably, through algorithms and cryptography, every record of value exchange the world over is recorded on one record of truth, and it's redundantly recorded in 190 different servers the world over instantaneously, I might not have to trust Russia and I might not have to trust a bank, but I can trust the math. And if there's one record of truth and 7 or 8 billion people can look at that one record of truth, the truth doesn't need to be defended. Truth is truth. There it is. The truth reigns over a corrupt judge, a corrupt government, hearsay, groupthink, political correctness, your feelings. It doesn't matter. 4 plus 4 equals 8 today, tomorrow, and 1,000 years from now. If everybody can see that 8 is on the ledger, then 8 is what happened. And I don't give a damn about your religion, your net worth, or your coolness. 8 is 8. That's the record. That's how you level the playing field. You don't get duplicity of books and duplicity of records and duplicity of bloodlines and duplicity of net worth and duplicity of who's sleeping with who. None of that matters. The math and the ledger, the one record of truth, let that be the standard, and everybody can see that one record written on the ledger. Case closed.
Excellent.
And I want to point just one thing that we are always we are unless we die, and I don't mean literally, okay? We can die and we can reborn. It's the phoenix. We have I do believe, I do trust. Well, I know. In fact, I know. I can say I know we need to have this experience of. I'm sorry if it sounds negative. It's not. But the pain. We need to suffer the pain. We need to see everything around us taken away from us, so we can clear our mind, clear our hearts, and willingly we will go to him, go back to him, no matter if it's in the church, no matter if it's under a tree, no matter if it's here on YouTube. We need to go back to him. Unless we do this I want to go home. Where is home? Home. Like, this is home. I want to be here with him. And this is the ground. This is the ground zero for us to follow, to start again our life, to raise as a phoenix, to burn as a phoenix, to 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 let go of the past. And it's not easy. I'm not saying that it's easy. It's every day we are facing, and we talk to people and they don't understand unless they have this experience. And I wish everyone has it. I believe I did, and I believe life is so amazing. God is so amazing that we are always experiencing and learning from Him through us. That it is, we need at this point right now, we are killing the ego, what it's not good from the ego, and we are, breaking free. And this breaking free makes a lot of people I wouldn't say scared, because when you are surrounded by love and you are in his presence, you don't fear. You don't fear anymore. It's not you anymore, it's him. And this is the experience that inside a church you will never have. You may think you have, and it's necessary for us at least understand that it is silent, we need to consciously ask for him. I don't have any other way. You will make a way, and I will follow your way. I wish I could be better with my words to translate,
Anna,
because
let me
it's
let me
yes,
underwrite what
please.
you're saying. Okay. First
Sure.
Corinthians 15:31. Paul says, I die daily. This wasn't about physical death, but about spiritual surrender. Here's the deeper meaning. Paul is teaching that each day the follower of Christ must put to death the selfish desires of the flesh, ego, pride, greed, lust, anger, and instead choose the will of God. It's not a one-time act, but a daily discipline. You just quoted scripture without quoting scripture. That is a truth.
Oh, my honor, because I love the Apostle Paul, and I question the Bible. I always say, Paul didn't get blind, guys. He didn't. He woke up like us. We are waking up. He's seeing a totally different reality because he had this. He felt it. So he went from here to here. So everything, he wanted to be alone. He was made alone. He was made ridiculed like we are. And I wish we all face what Paul did. And I believe there are a lot of drama that are not truth. And if it is, like, bring it on. This is necessary because I truly, there's nothing more important. Neither Trump, all of us, we are important. But our experience, the possibility to have it, this is my Nasara, this is my Jasara, this is my Trump Sara, this is my, I'm going home here, and I'll be able, well, maybe I know I can be very, 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 have my glasses very pink, very, very girly, very, but it's how I survive. Other way, I wouldn't be able to survive. Please.
It's how you were designed to survive. It's how
Yes.
you were created.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Dylan, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying about local action, what we are the plan is what Hugh has said, and I'm definitely totally on board with that. I'm trying to have more of an international effect, a global effect, but I'm even seeing a lot of progress on all fronts. I mean, there's so much to report this week, but when we first booked Juan, one of my first questions for Juan was going to be, when is Trump going to change? We're on YouTube, so I want to be careful here with my words. I think we can say election at this point, the election system, and go back to paper ballots, because this is something that he's talked about in rallies, and we've heard all about it on the alt media. But it's like, when is the actual action going to happen was what I was going to ask Juan, because we're coming up to the 2026 midterms, And, we're hoping that we can, get this locked in before then, have a whole new election system, which is a huge project. I mean, getting rid of Dominion and Smartmatic and, replacing all these machines with a hand count technique is big. And in between me planning that question for one and this video, Trump put out the tweet, which I'll do a screen share of it right now, saying, he's intending to do an executive order about this, saying a voter ID must be part of every single vote, no exceptions. I'll be doing an executive order to that end, no mail-in voting, paper ballots only. So, I mean, he's announcing it. Now, he hasn't done the order yet, but like once he puts this out, it's like all these things that we're expecting to happen are slowly happening one by one. And here's like another mainstream RT article, which I think we mentioned in our last video. RT is like the main global media outlet. So they're talking about this as well, that Trump's teasing executive order action overhauling the voting system. And I will also announce, even just locally, Cincinnati, where I am, has been in the national news recently about violence on the streets and lawlessness, and Democrats running the city. And just recently, I've been supporting Corey Bauman, who's J.D. Vance's half brother, as mayor of Cincinnati, who doesn't have much political experience, but I'm assuming that with JD being his half brother, that he will, carry the MAGA agenda to Cincinnati. And it seemed like a little bit of a far shot because he's like an outsider. However, just in the past week, the Fraternal Order of the Police has endorsed him. And that is a huge endorsement. I know, like in this movement, we're more or less against secret societies and Masonic organizations, but the Fraternal Order of the Police sort of borderlines Masonry and mainstream. And so to get their endorsement is huge. Of course, Trump got their endorsement before his presidency this time. And so to see Corey Bauman getting that endorsement is a big step towards possibly having a Republican mayor in this city, Cincinnati, which has been Democrat for so long. And I think when we say, to get involved with local action, that could mean anything from running yourself for city council or for, local roles. But I think one of the main things to get people involved with would just be to get and hammer into their head that voting is not just a once every 4-year thing for the president. We need to be involved in the election of our governors, the election of our mayors, and the election of our senators big time. I'm a little bit guilty of that, I would say. I'm not sure if I voted in midterms, before the past couple of years. And so we really need to be aware of our local elections and, start small and work your way up. Just anything you can vote for that they'll let you vote for it. If you like, I put a Corey Bauman sign in my yard, even though I'm technically outside of the city limits. I'm like, I don't care. Like, we got to get this guy in. I mean, I go downtown all the time, and so it affects me. And so there's a lot of different ways to support, make political action without necessarily running yourself, just to get involved. If people were more involved, we would not have ended up in this situation that we're in with these Democrats running every major city. And, Cincinnati is a pretty microcosm compared to a lot of bigger cities. But, we at one point we had Arnold Schwarzenegger as governor of California. So it's like we can turn this around. And I've seen the mainstream media reporting this week that Democratic voter registration is down across the nation and Republican registration is way up. And so there is, the red wave is continuing, and that's very promising.
It's important also to know, and we've talked about this on a previous podcast, do your research. Our due diligence, we're not supposed to bow to government. The government's supposed to work for us, not us work for the government. And these corporations that have been formed, and you can do this. It's very simple. Just go to the Dun & Bradstreet website and look up your local city, look up your local county, and look up your fire departments, your police departments, your sheriff's departments, the jails, the courts. They're all corporations. So the first thing you got to do is you got to identify them, that they don't have any jurisdiction over you.
Right.
They're all corporations. Okay. And it's a very easy exercise for everyone that hears my voice to do. And send it to your county, send it to your sheriff, send it to your clerk, your county clerk, court clerk. Let them know we see you. We know now. You're not a government. You're a corporation. And until we take down all these corporations and we stand up, and we do this peacefully, 100% peacefully, but we let them know, we now know, we know that the bullshit's ending.
But Qranker did that.
I made a post this morning, and I grew up, one of my best friends in high school lived next to Herb Brooks in Shoreview, Minnesota. And for all of us that are old enough to know, 1980 was a very pivotal time in America, where a bunch of kids went in on a hockey team coached by Herb Brooks. And I posted the video of Herb with, there's Herbieisms, and I'm from Minnesota, and hockey's very big in Minnesota. And I know some of the players that were on that team. One of them went to my high school. And Herb made the comment, because they played a game and they weren't playing very well. And it reminded me, he said, the name on the front of the jersey is a hell of a lot more important than the name on the back of the jersey. And I correlate that to what JFK said. Ask not what your country can do for you. What can you do for your country? And I just think that this is a time, as kings and queens, as sovereigns, we need to get involved. We can no longer bitch about things. If you listen to people all the time, they're always bitching, oh, the government did this, oh, they raised our property taxes. You know, in Minnesota, when they tried passing a helmet law for all motorcyclists, guess what all the Harley guys and all the motorcyclists did? They had 40,000 plus cyclists down on the front lawn of the Capitol. Guess what happened? They didn't pass the law because the people stood up. And that's what we need to start doing in our local communities. So I just wanted to make that point. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to point out, you were a perfect example of that in your own community, in your testimony that you gave to you know the government, your local government. And so I was just going to give you that. That was all my follow up to that.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, and they retaliated. It's coming to a head, and they know. I mean, when Space Force put out that notice last week that all these judges, these attorneys, these county clerks, these land management, they're all corrupt. And when you learn, if you go to the Dun & Bradstreet, and Rob, back me up on this, I know you know this as well. If you go to the Dun & Bradstreet and you look up your local government, your county and your city and your state, they're all private corporations for profit. They're not government. And it was all designed.
Every single thing in this world, whether it's a Dun & Bradstreet number, a tax identification number, a birth certificate number, a social security number, a VIN, vehicle identification number, literally anything of value in this world has an ID that is a number that is registered with ownership, or at least claims of ownership, the world over. Dylan, could you allow me to share my screen real quick? I want to bring up just one.
I think everyone should already have the ability to share. Yeah.
Let me see if I can do that. Okay, cool. Awesome. So I'm going to put this in there and share. Let me see. Can you see that on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. If I could frame this is a clip I took off of yesterday's latest release of the US death.Clock.org. It's about a 44, 45, 47 page PowerPoint presentation. And I encourage everyone to please go and look this up. I tweeted about it yesterday. But what is the macro big picture war that we as a people the world over are involved in right now? And in this one graph, if people would understand, regardless of where you're from, your religion, your nationality, your net worth, your politics, it doesn't matter. We know that money makes the world go round, right? We know money is power. We know central banking is, for the most part, corrupt. We know that there's evil in this world. So, for over 100 years, the world has witnessed the horrors of communism and its dehumanizing effect on civilization. Stop right there. The founders of the central banking system were avowed Marxist, atheist, and communist. They believed in an ideology that the ends justify the means. Their ends are, it's our world, we'll run the joint, we will control everyone, and people will do as we say they will do. We will control this planet. That is an exactly opposite of scripture, of law, of the Constitution of the United States. There was no Marxism or atheism or communism or demonic control ideology designed into our birth certificate known as the Declaration of Independence. But what has happened to us? Power, control, and expansion by any means. To no one's surprise, this subterfuge extends to economic warfare. How do you stop a nation committed to destroying the economic base of another? Tariffs. Trump talks about tariffs all the time. What are tariffs? Between 1820 and 1913, the US government was mostly funded by tariffs. At just 3.5% of GDP, tariffs could bring in $1 trillion a year of revenue. With the addition of the USA dollar, the RLUSD, counted as revenue of 1.5 trillion, we are facing income tax and corporate tax being completely eliminated. What does that do for mankind? What does that do for the homeless? What does that do for people struggling to get by? If we get rid of fake money, inflation, income tax, corporate tax, and we get rid of this controlling Marxist fiat hand that's weaponizing its power over the world and dividing and conquering us, if that was the only thing that was going on and you knew nothing else about what President Trump was doing, if you knew nothing else about why this war was taking place, to return the power back to we the people, not one party to the other, not one administration to another, but from centralization to decentralization. If we want to get rid of the corrupt hidden hand, this fiat money monster that has sickened us and weakened us and poisoned us and divided us and destroyed us and seeks to rain hell all over this earth, why would anyone not want to get rid of that hidden force so we can all live and let live? That's what is happening in our world. Turn off the idiot box. Stop listening to people that don't have any damn idea what they're talking about, and understand the context of what we've been going through for the last 10 years since Trump came down the escalator. This is what we have been fighting for, to disconnect from this hidden hand Marxist control system so we can go back to freedom and liberty, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. You govern you, I'll govern me. Good luck. Adopt your best practices, but don't have anybody jam their best practices down our throats in a one-size-fits-all BIS, World Economic Forum, Rothschild, Rockefeller system that benefits them and destroys us as a people. That's what this war is about.
As cool as the other side of the pillow. So Rob, let's jump into XRP right now, because there's a lot of really great things that are happening with XRP, and through you, I've got to start following Smoke, and boy, is Smoke, he's the bomb. He is really the bomb, and I'm hopeful maybe we can have him on the Cranker's Pit, because he's really if you're not on, again, if you're not on X and following Rob and following Smoke on the financial side of things, there is a wealth of knowledge and some great researchers on what's going on. So I want to hand it off to you on what's going on with XRP, because there's no one that explains it better than you.
Well, and for those that might want to follow Smoke, and I want to give you, I just want to echo what you said. It's spelled, instead of O's in Smoke Dog, it's Q's. So it's SMQKE So on X, it's Smoke Dog. What makes him so unique and so brilliant is his tireless work ethic. But every single post comes with an absolute receipt, a documented record, something in an official report, something that's a communication of a presentation, something from a International Monetary Fund or President Trump or the SEC or wherever. It's not just opinion or one guy's idea. Every single post comes with documented receipts, evidence of the words coming out of his mouth. So it's not like a cult thing where we're just going to go follow Q and see what his opinion is for today. He just shares a constant stream of consciousness of documented facts. And then, there may be some commentary about the significance and the context of that factual documented event, but he's not just making stuff up. It's not fanciful theories. That being said, we're on the verge of maybe 16 different ETFs, exchange traded funds, soon to be in the next coming months, weeks, months, going public, live, listed, where institutions can be able to buy spot and futures ETFs the world over, which is going to give people the world over the ability to invest in their 401ks or invest just in the product itself and gain access. They don't even have to learn how to get a wallet and a cold wallet and store XRP and put it on a wallet. But it's global mainstream adoption of XRP that's going to happen like that. I don't even think there's been a Bitcoin or an Ethereum period of time where you've had 16 different financial institutions and from BlackRock to Bitwise to Ubit to all over the world. Just all of a sudden, boom, the coin that could not be spoken about, the one that was sued, the one that was destroyed, the one that's been mocked, the one that's been vilified, the one that's been called every kind of banker's coin, shit coin, junk coin, scam coin in the world. All of a sudden, 16 companies the world over are going to embrace it in the next 2 months. Do you believe in coincidences? I don't, and people so misunderstand what XRP is. XRP is a patented scribe. Think of it that way. It's a high-tech scribe.
Hey, Rob, can you describe real quick because my son was asking me, I was trying to distinguish that because he was talking about, the differences between different cryptos and all that stuff. And and maybe there is or isn't a way to describe specifically about utility. And I think you've said it best, and I'll let you go from there, but you can probably draw into that conversation. I don't mean to interrupt you with that, but I think utility is at the heart of that, because it's not so much the value of that coin, like Bitcoin's worth, whatever. The utility is the usage of that, and the magnitude, the volume of that is bigger than anything that we can talk about. So go ahead.
Sure. I'm going to pull up a chart that I had put together and show you the ultimate utility in my mind of what this is going to be all about. There we go. So the utility of XRP is its patented neutral ability to transcribe onto a ledger, one true ledger, of truth that is made possible through the Interledger Foundation has this Interledger protocol that allows the writing of all these exchanges of value the world over. And it doesn't even matter what blockchain value exchanges take place on, whether it's the R3 Corda or Stellar XLM or RippleNet or XRPL, Solano, ETH. It doesn't matter. What matters is there is a record of truth that everyone can look at. And when you have an XRP ledger, which people need to understand, number one, XRP ledger is free to the world. It's open source. Anyone, any company, any conglomerate, any nation can use the XRP ledger. And through the Interledger Foundation's protocol, this interoperability of all of these blockchains, the quantum financial system, if you will, for lack of a better term, is a system of systems. It's a system of blockchains. It's all the blockchains together. But at the end of the day, you've got to have one record of truth. And XRP enables, from a utility standpoint, if gold goes to RLUSD and RLUSD goes to ETH and ETH goes to XRP and XRP is swapped for the RLEUD or the RL yen or the RL peso, and transactions happen 24/7, 365. These transactions need to be transcribed onto a ledger of truth, where again, the record of truth exceeds a judge's gavel, a corrupt courtroom, a central banker's hearsay, the spoken word or the opinion of one versus another. How do we, on a global basis, generate a record of truth and then level the playing field, sign agreements between nations, call it the Abraham Accords? How do you consent and contract between two nations that don't trust one another? How does Turkey and India work together? How does India and Iran work together? How does Iran and America work together? How does China and Russia work together, or China and Germany work together? If no one trusts each the other, guess what solves the problem? Trustlessness. A system of trustlessness where math and the truth recorded on a ledger, that is what people can agree to, point to when conflict resolution happens. If there's a disagreement, there's not the State Department's books and the Treasury's books and the Fed's books and China's books and India's books, and by God, if you don't agree with me, I'm going to drop bombs on your head. No, the truth is the truth. How do we, through satellites, through cryptography, through contracts and agreements, agree that we're going to transact, level the playing field, do business together? You do your religion, you do your culture, we'll do our religion, we'll do our culture. We don't have to have a World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, one size fits all set of rules. American can be American, Brazil can be Brazil, and Italy can be Italy. We can still trade together, but we can get rid of all the political correctness out of the trade. I either want your oil or I don't. You either want our corn or you don't. Don't put conditionality on transgenderism and wokeism and oil sales. Screw you. The deal is the deal without conditionality. Either you do or don't want the oil, yes or no. And if you do want the oil, and we make the trade and we do a contract and there's real world assets that swap and are exchanged back and forth and written on the record, that's it, full stop, settled in 3 seconds, done. Now truth becomes the governing ideology, free of all other encumbrances. Truth becomes the record, not opinion or political correctness or wokeness or the Federal Reserve needing new market share or the opiate fields in Afghanistan or looking for, hidden treasures in Iraq and calling it weapons of mass destruction. All of that other agenda crap, it's really hard to pull that crap off, those lies and those the COVID stories that are really a war on depopulation. It wasn't for your health. It was for their health, so they could preserve their monopoly of world power. How do you do that? You get rid of 4 billion useless eaters. That's the real story, right? So
Yes.
how do we get back and level set, level playing field, interoperable system of trustlessness that's based on something everyone in the world can inspect? It's either true or false. 2 + 2 equals 4. It's on the books or it's not on the books. You contracted and consented, or you didn't contract and you didn't consent, and it's all mathematically verifiable and visible on a neutral, open source software platform. That is the power and the beauty of the XRP ledger and the XRP that was going to transcribe these value exchanges in a way that is indisputable, end of story. Nobody can argue with what did or didn't happen.
So I have
Brilliant.
two questions. I have two. One is a comment. So truth is the strategy of for us to have peace, we need a strategy, and truth is the strategy of peace. I always have
Yes.
this book of JFK that truth is a strategy. If we have truth, we remove the part who is creating the misinformation. There, the way is clear and known. Everyone can understand. But at this point, Rob, where are we in this timeline of events that we are facing? Where do you think we are? Are we still
Very, very
yeah.
close. Very close. October 1st is the brand new beginning of the 250th year. The fiscal year 2026 begins October 1st in America. So whether we go by the fiscal year or the calendar year, October 1st is also the beginning of Q4, the fourth quarter of America. And then January the 1st is the beginning of the 250th anniversary of America. Guess who's the chairman of America's 250 Foundation? Rosie Rios. Rosie Rios was the United States Treasurer for 8 years. Guess which board Rosie sits on? Ripple. Guess who President Trump is starting to mention and tag and speak about a lot? The America 250, the year, the 250th celebration of the birth certificate of America, that Declaration of Independence. 200. What is Trump's legacy going to be? If he came down the escalator in 2015 to take the head off of central banking, to give us our liberty back and level the playing field and return the power back to you, the people, wouldn't the 250th year be a pretty damn good time to do it? So we're either going to have central banking or we're going to have decentralized ledger technology. Because what happens with DLT, there's two items that make DLT function. They're non-negotiable items. 100% transparency and 100% accountability. With those two elements, central banking and fractional reserve lending and usury interest can't exist. The business model of central banking is based on fractional reserve lending. And with 100% transparency and 100% accountability, fractional reserve lending ends. So you can't be pregnant and not pregnant at the same time.
Yeah, no. No.
We're either going to be on a DLT system of transparency, or we're going to be on a fiat central banking Marxist system that works behind the Wizard of Oz curtains that no one can see and no one can inspect. We're either going to have transparency or we're not. And when we go to transparency, the old system dies.
Dies. Well, so right now, what I understand, what I can understand is that because this, as we know, as we the people, we are talking about this. I call now we are all royal house of we the people. I created this. I stated this yesterday. We are the royal house of we the people.
Yeah.
So if the same way we are understanding and learning and having these conversations now on YouTube, of course we are being watched, of course we are being listened for long, and they know, they know the play, they know what was coming for them. So the rats are really scary, I believe. Would I be would I be
You're 100% right. They either kill us or their game is over. They lose the monopoly. They have nothing to lose. I mean, we were talking about election integrity earlier. I think Qranker brought this up. Maybe Dylan, you brought it up. I'm not sure which one, but think about this. Think of the cards that Trump has. Let's say that we're going to paper ballots, full stop, no dominion, no electronic voting, same day knowing. And just that alone, they're estimating will give 100 vote shift to the R's, to conservatives, if you will, to people that believe in 100 vote swing in the House by just going to paper only and getting rid of the election, the mail-in ballots, and all of the fraud. Okay, so what if President Trump was to say, okay, guys, we can do this one of two ways. You can agree and we're going to go to paper ballots, or I can have the Brunson case adjudicated and prove that you all violated your oath of office and 338 of you are gone when the Supreme Court votes in support of Brunson. We can do it the easy way or the hard way. What would you like to do? Paper ballots or Brunson? Who's in control? Who's got the leverage?
The Trump card.
Who's got the Trump card? You want me to play the Brunson card, or you want me to go to paper ballots? He's already told us we're going to paper ballot, and if they want to push back, he's got an even bigger card to play, and he may play both, because ultimately, I believe he wants to get rid of the duopoly, just as George Washington did. He doesn't want a two-party system. That's the quintessential element of divide and conquer. You got to have the red versus the blue. And how about just America yes or America no? How about that ought to be on the ballot? And every candidate ought to be America yes or America no. And then we can vote. But this whole two-party system, the DNC and the RNC are three-letter agencies like the IRS and the CIA and the DNI.
Can I get an amen? Yes.
They're just three-letter agencies.
Yes. Amen.
I want to jump in and do a little screen share just to follow up with, what we were just talking about, was that it wasn't just the one Trump Truth Social post, the short one I showed earlier talking about going to mail-in ballots, but there's also this one, which is much longer. I don't think we want to read the same thing, the whole thing, but talking about mail-in ballots and voting. And so he is really gung-ho on this. And I mean, I think we could expect an executive order like within the next 2 weeks based on how much he's talking about this. I mean, this is a rant, even for Trump. Like, this is a serious mail-in ballot rant. And then just a few other images to show up. This is that smoke account on X that we were just talking about. This again spelled smoke dog with the O's as Q's. So that's a really good one to follow. And I have not verified this one, but there was this post from God's Burnt on X saying that Eric Trump said Trump is an XRP maxi. Now that might just be rumors on X. I'm trying to verify if that's true or not, but there's been plenty of evidence. I mean, even Brad Garlinghouse sitting at the crypto summit on the back row with the Trump administration, as opposed to on the sides with most of the other corporations. He's one of the most important players, at least representing an actual cryptocurrency on the crypto summit. And this one's a little more for shits and giggles. This meme showing actual blockchains, XRP and Cardano, mental disorders, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and I'm not even sure what that blue one is. Hyperliquid possibly. But yeah, that's all I got for screen shares for now. But just wanted to show like how much Trump has really been talking about this shift to mail-in ballots. It's coming, and it's coming before I think the 2026 midterms.
Well,
Thanks,
Well,
Dylan. That's
and
good stuff.
let me add to that as well. And here's a nice thing. The people like me and you and that have studied this cryptography and the digital architecture, we geek out on the specifics and the components and the technology inside the microprocessor chip. And the average person that drives a Tesla couldn't tell you about the technology. They can barely spell Tesla, but they just drive it because they like it. Right? It's a cool car. It works. They don't have to explain the technology. They don't have to understand the camera. They don't have to understand any of the aspects. They can just drive it because they like it. Okay. The RLUSD, the Ripple Labs United States dollar, the digital dollar, is a anti-Federal Reserve note instrument. It is an asset with 100% or higher one-to-one backing behind a digital dollar issued on behalf of the United States government, US dollar, RLUSD. Okay. President Trump has said he wants the dollar to remain the most powerful dollar currency in the world, if you will. The crypto capital of the world is going to run on digital dollars that are assets, that are backed by tier one asset, treasury bonds and bills and notes, okay, or gold. So every single time a transaction occurs with a US dollar, an XRP token has to travel as a co-pilot with that digital dollar to transcribe onto the ledger the who, what, when, where, how, and why that dollar transaction, that volume, that amount, the exchange of value, who the parties were, to register it done.
Which defines the utility.
Which defines the utility. So if multiple trillions and trillions or even quadrillions of dollars are being exchanged on a daily basis, 24/7, 365, with commerce around the world and US dollars are involved, by default, XRP is involved. By default, XRP is utilized as a utility hidden scribe that writes everything down so the whole world can see what actually took place. Whether you know it's happening or not is irrelevant. Whether you understand the utility of XRP is irrelevant. What writes to the XRP ledger for the world to then consent and contract and agree is the official record of truth. It's irrelevant if you understand it or not, but of the 209 leaders in the world and those in the Abraham Accords in the Middle East and China and Russia and India and America and the BRICS nations understand, we are now going to consent and contract and do business together. And the official arbiter of everything that takes place is going to be this ledger. And we will settle disputes based on the ledger. And we'll only use maybe ISO tokens that meet a standard of transparency. And there's only 8 of them. And there's only 8 projects. They have all the data that are necessary for XRP to transcribe the data, the value, the time, the date, the who, what, when, where, and how onto the ledger. Man, that sure does get rid of a whole lot of disputes, concentration of power, the graft and the grift and the middlemen, the thieves, those that are doing the dividing, the devouring, the destroying,
The NGOs,
the secret NGOs that operate behind the curtain and just do this whole wealth extraction system from we the people into the centralized hands of these dark occultists.
And don't forget, PayPal and credit cards taking 3% on literally every transaction online, and even more on international transactions. And international transactions can be up to like 10% fees.
Yes.
from PayPal and these credit card companies. And I mean, just think about the massive amount of money that is being extracted from that. I
And
mean,
that's not
talk about
annually.
tariffs are a lot. Like that's
That's
everything.
every single transaction, every payroll, every direct deposit, every wire transfer, every credit card swipe. That is, when you do the amount of transactions and the volatility and the volume, look at how much wealth and if money is energy and energy is our life, how much of our life is being stolen and put in the hands of people that want us dead? I mean, it's mind-boggling. We're cutting that system off.
You know what I love about
Ending
this?
that system.
You know what I love about this conversation? We're not talking about numbers. We're not saying XRP is going to be worth this and this and this and this. We're talking about everything that's giving our sovereignty back,
Yeah.
our financial sovereignty. And you know, we get so hung up. I listen to everyone, well, this is going to be worth this. This is going to be worth this. The most important thing is going to be our financial sovereignty. And XRP and XLM, the two blockchains, and HBAR, these blockchains that are in the quantum financial system, are so transparent that there is going to be no more fraud. There's going to be no more under the table deals. You can't do it. It eliminates all the crime.
Right.
And people may have this idea, well, cash is king. No, it's not. That's where our corruption comes from. Our corruption comes from cash. We get rid of all the drugs. We get rid of all the human and child trafficking. We get rid of all the NGOs. We get rid of all this bullshit that has been enslaving humanity. And this is a great conversation.
And I think you mentioned now, Qranker, you're pointing out something that it's just happening. President Trump sent 4,000 ships down here to Venezuela, the main hub where the elections, 2020 election, it went through Venezuela's server and Brazil's server and Leonardo in Vatican. So we are kind of clashing two giants. Now in one side we have this new financial system coming to the scene, and in the other scene we are making this, and we are, you know, they are in the middle. We are here. We have it all. We have it all.
We have it
You're
all.
setting it up for next week's show with Juan, because that's exactly what he's going to talk about, is that intersection of, I'd say, explosion.
Yeah.
The Cambrian explosion.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Either it can create this explosion, or we the people, and that's why the Royal House, we are instituting the Royal House of we the people, because we are the ones who are opening the sea. We are in that moment when the sea is going to open by the clash. The clash, it's the zero. We are, you know, you have the same energy from one side and the other, like Tesla, and we are opening. It's 0 point. It's neutral. We are passing, and we are going through.
But
That's
Anna,
beautiful.
to your point, what's going to be so important for us to understand, the Red Sea parted and the Jews escaped slavery. They crossed over and they were free, but they weren't found. Just because they came out of slavery doesn't mean they knew how to govern themselves. They walked around aimlessly for 40 years. So we are going to have to a lot of us are awake, but a lot of people are not awake. And when we cross over into freedom and sovereignty, now you're going to have to go in that gym and understand how to self-regulate, how to self-govern, how to figure out how to self-discipline, not be told what to do and complain and bitch and moan and walk around and go, oh, me, I'm a victim. Nobody, look at my skin. I don't have anything because of my skin color, white privilege. I hate the white people. I mean, all of this stuff on the other side of switching over from the old corrupt system to the new system doesn't magically make everybody's soul clean. Doesn't make us wise and awake. It doesn't mean that we have knowledge and understanding and wisdom to self-govern, die of self, so that Christ can live in us and through us and help us govern ourselves. So I want to, if you don't mind, I'm going to show one more screen here real quick. that it helps people understand the magnitude of what we're really talking about here. This is the fraud. The framers of the Federal Reserve's goal was to so mask how money even came into existence that people would never, ever, ever understand how we were being cheated. It's not money, it's debt. It's not an asset, it's an IOU. Look at the top of the screen. It says
We don't
federal.
see the screen.
I'm sorry?
We don't see the screen.
Oh, you don't? I'm
No,
sorry. Let's
that's
see.
all right.
I thought hold on just a second. I forgot to hit start screening.
That's
Sorry about
fine.
that. Me and a computer sometimes don't get along. Let's see. There. Okay.
There you go.
There we go. So can you see that full screen?
Yeah, open it up.
Okay, let me open it up a little bit. That's what I thought. All right. How about that?
Yes.
Okay. So at the top of that 20 says Federal Reserve note. That is not money, that's debt. That's a piece of paper. That's a fraud. That's an IOU that contracts us to all the terms and the condition of the Federal Reserve. That's not federal. This has no reserves. It's not money. It's debt. It's a chain. It's a handcuff. Okay. So theft. Look at this. From 1910, with fractional reserve lending, it was designed to extract wealth from the workers, the working class, the people that do the actual labor and invent and build, to take all of our work and give it to the unproductive banking class. It was a scheme to skim 20% of all commerce and wealth creation into the hands of a very elite few. And they knew we would be trapped in a debt spiral that was impossible to escape. This is what was invented in my home state. They started planning it in 1910 and it got signed into law in 1913. And this is the system that Donald Trump came down the escalator in 2015 to get rid of. So look at these numbers. This is all from the usdebtclock.org. In 1987, there were 140 billionaires. Today, there's 2,800. We went from $300 billion, the combined wealth of billionaires. There's $300 billion worth of wealth among the billionaires in 1987 to 14 trillion, a 46x increase. Fiat money is government issued currency that's not backed by anything. It's derived from the public's trust and confidence in the government that is issuing it. If we know the government's corrupt and there's nothing but a bunch of lying, skeeving scoundrels and thieves in our government, why would we invest our trust in a system that employs people like Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom and the Bush family and Barack Obama and the Clintons? These are the employees, the handmaidens of the bankers that they want to keep their system alive. The system became uncoupled from gold and became completely fraudulent in 1971. And here's the scheme. The grand theft. Inflation is probably the biggest crime in human history because it evaporates our money and our wealth out of our hands, like us putting an ice cube on our hand in the desert of Las Vegas. That ice cube's going to melt slowly. That 3% per year is our wealth melting out of our hands and into the hands of the issuer. The people that are turn the heat up to make the ice cube melt. It melts out of our hand, but they've got a system to collect it. They own the real property. We end up owning nothing. So it's an invisible mechanism of theft. Inflation is theft, yet we've been told that's just the way the system works. So the Federal Reserve debt, which became the world reserve currency in 1944. So 81 years ago, this system is a fiction foisted on the American people and the ruling class the world over, because the whole world had to adopt and reverse engineer its exchanges and its money system and its commerce, if you will, based on the dollar system, which was a fraud with interest to siphon wealth away from the productive and all nations and transfer that wealth to the extractors. The same elite few that hatched the scheme in 1913 and then converted it into a world reserve scheme in 1944 to siphon the wealth away from the productive class in 209 countries the world over, so that it all went into the hands of this elite cartel. And this is the bottom line. This is my last screen share I'll show you. Think of 20% of the world's wealth right off the top going straight to the creators of this paper fiat currency system. And then they're the ones that invent the medicines, write the textbooks, own the network news stations, control the churches, own the airlines, tell us about global warming, that create all the narratives because they have all the power, because this elite tiny cartel gets 20% of the world's wealth right off the top, year in and year out, in order to do their little control system, their dark arts of divide and conquer the world and keep us in a perpetual state of war. And it's all been done because they created this one thing the Bible said, beware of. The love of money is the root of all evil. They get us to believe that the more possessions, the more power, the more numbers in our bank account make us more happy. So we work harder to buy the houses and keep up with the Joneses and travel the world over and put our kids in daycare and eat fast food to get back to work harder, to make more money, because we're chasing the things money can buy instead of the purpose we were created to do as kings and queens. We start worshiping the money instead of worshiping the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And they know this damn well. And
Ex-
that's the mousetrap they built for us. And that's the mousetrap that President Trump came to end on our behalf.
Excellent presentation, Rob. Thank you. And I just sent Dylan, are you able to pull those two images up that I just sent you? I want to just show everyone.
You're on mute, Dylan.
The Federal Reserve, as Rob's, defining right here, is gone. It's done. And we're transferring from fake money into real money. And
Yeah,
I
I just
sent,
want
go
to show
ahead.
everyone, like, this is the image of what everyone thought the Federal Reserve looks like. And as most people know, that it's under a renovation. We had Trump and Jerome Powell touring it with the white hats a few weeks ago, wearing white hats, of course. But even if you look at the Federal Reserve on Google Earth right now, it looks like this plastic wrapped monstrosity. I mean, this is not just a renovation, this is a gut renovation. I would not be surprised at all if when this white plastic comes off, there's completely different title, lettering, sculptures, like frontage. We have no idea what's gonna be there when this comes off. And not only is there the white wrap around the whole building, like the entire grass and yard is completely turned into dirt. I mean, this is a complete reconstruction of the entire thing. And nobody knows exactly what it's going to be when it's done. But this is not normal activity for like an institution that's been around for 100 years now. And so now, just wanted to show that if anyone's not watching, I would encourage you to look at these visuals just to understand like how much of a gut renovation is actually going on there. And then Cranker, here's the images that you requested of the
And
gold and silver
Dylan,
spot
to your
prices.
point, anybody that's watching this video tonight, live or recorded, go to your Google Maps or go to Apple Maps and type in Federal Reserve. And when you go to the map, it will say permanently closed.
That too, yeah.
Permanently closed. So I would bet, Dylan, if I was a betting man, that that's going to open up as the brand new military hardened, military skiff-like crypto headquarter capital of the world. It ain't going to be the Federal Reserve. But if we're going to be the crypto capital of the world with digital architecture and the SEC and the CFTC and the new digital asset group, there's a third agency that's being created for digital assets, tokenization, real world assets, and cryptography. That building is going to be the nerve center for the new financial system of the world. And it ain't going to be the Rothschilds Federal Reserve.
It was funny you say that, Rob, because you stole my thunder, because the Space Force of the financial system is going to be right there.
Yes,
and I totally think that the reconstruction, and that's what I love about seeing the images that Dylan just put up. That in and of itself, that somebody thinks that, Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve and the IRS and all the stuff that's going on, you see that, you see the dirt. There is no, I mean, that all you have to do is show that to your family that doesn't understand or thinks that you're a psycho. That does not equate. You can't do that. Just go to Google.
I love it. That's great stuff right there, you guys. It really is. Thanks, Dylan. And then the back up what we're saying, if you look at what gold and silver was at today, silver crossed $40 an ounce, and gold is at its all-time high.
Yeah.
If that doesn't ring a bell, that we are going back to asset-backed currency, Executive Order 11110 that JFK signed is still in play. It's still in play. And that's what we're going to. We're going to constitutional money. We're going to a sovereign financial system that's going to give us our sovereign freedoms.
Don't change the screen. Don't change the screen.
Please don't. And I'm so sorry, but Dylan, do me a favor. Go to the usdebtclock.org. If you don't mind, would you go to that website here real live so I want to show the people where to go, and please, please, please just take some time and look at each one of these slides. If you want to become the smartest person in your family or in your community about what's going on, you see this little secret window. First, you go to usdebtclock.org. That's the URL. And in the upper right corner, you'll see a thing that says secret window. Would you click on that? So that will show you what's going on in the revolution, in the tracking of assets that have been captured and the debt that's going away. But then click on free ebook in the middle of the page there. When you click on that, you open that up. Don't have to give an email address. Don't have to pay a penny. Just click on the free ebook and it should open up.
It's the green button, Dylan.
It's the green button. There we go. Now, start scrolling on that, Dylan, and just show this is, as you start going down, there's page 1. It tells you what's coming. This was released yesterday on Labor Day. There's a significance to it being released on Labor Day because they figured out a way to steal the wealth of the laborers and put it in the hands of the extractors. So this is an outline. I think it's 40, I don't know how many total slides there are here, but it starts with the times of Jesus and why he flipped over the money changer tables. And it goes to today. It will give you a rich history of what is money, what's a ledger. They used to have ledger called tally sticks that were impossible to counterfeit. What you would do is you'd put a bunch of marks on a stick. If you were to go and drop off your gold at someone, and they would mark exactly what the number was, and then they would cut the stick in half. The banker would keep one half and you would keep your other half. If you came back a year later and you put the two sticks together If they matched perfectly, that was a record that couldn't be forged. That proved to the banker and to the person that had that stick, if you show up and put it together, you owe me 40 ounces of gold. That's how much I left you. It says 40. Here's my half. Here's your half. Give me my 40. Guess what they ended up doing? They didn't like that accuracy. They didn't like that perfect accountability. So they had to burn up the whole tally stick farms. They had to get rid of the record keeping system so they could figure out a way to steal people's wealth and get rid of the official record keeping system. You'll go in there and see the tally stick fire that happened in 1834. They can't have accuracy and truth in accounting. They had to get rid of that. So as you go through this, you'll find the history of the Bank of England, who the Rothschilds were. You know, how did script and currency and paper money come into being? How do they get rid of gold and silver and go to a trust me bro system? We're from the government. We're just going to print the money and you should just follow our rules. Screw the gold and silver. This will take you through history, government, scriptural laws and principles, accounting, the fraudulent system of the control of man over we the people. This is one of the most brilliant educational decks that none of us are taught in school. This is erased history. This is hidden history. These are hidden truths that put the lie or the how we became debt slaves onto these decks. And if you care to know the war that we're in, the war is about ending this slavery system so we can have our sovereignty back. Everything else is just noise. Everything else is the falling out of those that own the monopoly, trying to do everything they can to keep the monopoly. And this proves what they did to us and why it has to end. It's you know, this Bretton Woods system in 1944 shows how they made the US dollar Rothschild system the world reserve currency Rothschild system that put our world into debt slavery because everything had to revolve around the king dollar. That wasn't a dollar in the first place. It was a Federal Reserve scheme. But in 1944, the whole world decided we were going to adopt the scheme. And now we're ending the scheme.
If that don't put a smile on your face, I don't know. You may not have a heartbeat if you don't smile right now.
And every breathing soul on earth will be a beneficiary of the scheme ending. Every one of us. It doesn't matter your bloodline, your net worth, who your mama was or who your daddy was, or what church you go to. Everybody on earth is going to be a beneficiary of no longer being a slave.
And it redefines the value of who you are and whose you are.
Amen.
Yep.
Amen.
You know what?
Just a
Go-
second. Just
Go
a
ahead.
second, guys.
Go ahead.
Just a leading. No, that's why I wanted to start the conversation today, because when I talking about a princess or a queen, whatever, but what she did last 200 years ago, she did making a way for us now. And it's so important for us to remember that in maybe we cannot say, oh, they are all bad, they are all good. No, they're good people.
Caught in a bad
They are
system.
helping. Yeah, caught in the bad system. What she did, it's totally bravery. She defied to save your children, to save your family that was already being killed in French revolutions and other revolutions and the Russian Revolution. That's we are honoring these people, what they did to us. So I don't have their blood, I don't have their name in my name, but I honor them. and we own them to these people. I do that to this empress, princess, to this person. Yeah, I love her for that.
Excellent. Excellent. Listen, we're at the 2-hour mark, and unfortunately we didn't have one, but fortunately we had Rob Cunningham, and we had Dylan Monroe, and we had Mike Likens, and we had Anna. And I couldn't be prouder to have the Crankers Pit, have all of you guys involved. I think we are doing a great job on producing truth and bringing truth and helping people through this transition, and also bridging with South America and Brazil. And I can tell you, Dylan, I can tell you, Rob, and even Jason, that people in Brazil are really responding to this show, and we're bridging, and we the people are coming together. And I'm very proud of where we're going with this, and I can't thank you guys all enough. And it's an unfortunate but a very fortunate thing. I thought we had a great show tonight. Next week we'll get Juan on here, and I can't imagine what we're going to have with Juan, with everything that's going on. So what I'd like to do is thank everyone, and then I'd like to just say a short prayer before we end. Father, our Creator, I want everyone to know that you are our King, and we are here to serve you. This transition from the satanic world to the new world, the godly world, we're going to need your hands for strength, healing, and your power. And most importantly, patience. And boy, are we learning that word, because we want this new world badly. Many of us have been in this fight for a long time. We have family members, we have friends, we have neighbors, workmates who have not treated us very well. And we are seeing now the truth come out. I ask that every patriot that's been in this movement treat those that have cast stones at us and mocked us, treat them with love and care, and do not retaliate. We need to move forward in love, peace, and prosperity. And when the wealth comes to us, I ask that you help all of us that have been involved and invested, that we serve the people with this wealth. It's not about me, it's about we. I ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Cranker.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Cranker.
Thank you, Dylan. Mike, you want to end it with our extra?
I sure will. I got to find the screen share.
As we do that, I just want to remind everyone to like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is our first time also simultaneously restreaming to Anna's channel, which is Anna Marins on YouTube. So go subscribe to her as well. And of course, all of our links are in the description. For Rob on X is a great account to follow, as well as Qranker. And I'm not sure if Mike has a link, but if he ever has one, we'll put it there in the description. So just make sure you follow us on all the platforms, and thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for this final little outro video.
And now we take great pleasure in presenting to you the star of our program.
We're not seeing it, Mike. Do a screen share.
Hello, everybody. It is my
Still can't see it.
a new song.
Mike can't see it.
America. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, Let us swear
There
allegiance
we go.
to the land free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair. We raise our voices. Of prayer. Stand beside her and guide her. Lead a knife with a life from the mouth.
Mike, it's not coming through. It's not coming through. We'll just go ahead and shut it down. We'll get that figured out for tonight. It's God Bless America, you guys. Kate Smith, and it's one of my
We
favorite
tried.
videos. And I was introduced to it by Kay and Ray. Kay and Ray, a shout out to you, and that's a tribute to Kay. We used to. It's not coming through, Mike. So we'll just.
We'll get it next time. We'll get it next
we'll get it
time.
next
Yeah,
time.
yeah. We'll figure it out.
All right.
All right.
All right,
Thanks, you
everybody.
guys.
Next time I'll sing. I'll sing
yeah.
next time.
God bless. I'll do it from my end.
All right. Good
All
night,
right.
everybody.
All right.
Good
Good
night,
night,
everyone.
everybody.
Sorry about
Thanks.
that.